Welcome back to Education 3000. Welcome to our online videos. I am Noemi Paimal, the founder of Education 3000. Hello, Dave. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Naomi. Hi, everyone watching at home. I'm David Fegan, the International English Program Coordinator at Education 3000. You're watching our Level 1 series of videos, Co-Recreating Education. And in this video, we're going to look at the white petal, which is quite obvious from our dress, right, Naomi?
Yeah, you are all in white. Why white? It's a beautiful petal. It's a beautiful, very important sector in education. Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
My screen. What is white about? Why white?
Why don't you tell us, Naomi? So we love all the petals, all the pedagogical areas.
Yes, remember we have the 7 petals. It's an integral proposal. And the white petal is all about art, beauty, aesthetic, and to have beauty outside and inside. It's a very important petal because you can express yourself in many different ways. And I think this is the most creative and the most fulfilled. I love all the petals, but the white is very special for me.
Nice. So if you've been watching the series, you'll know that we're looking at these 7 pedagogical areas that the 7 Petal Schools for Peace represent. Maybe if it's the first one, the first video or the second video you're looking at, you can check out all the videos on our YouTube channel. The description is below. But to just give a little reminder or refresher or summary, these 7 petals or 7 pedagogical areas are for the harmonious development of the human being and for a durable culture of peace. Before we look directly at the white petal, we're going to just review the 7 petals briefly. So the first petal, the blue petal, is physical and kinesthetic development. The yellow petal, the second petal, which we've already looked at as well, articulated cognitive development. The third petal, the pink petal, social and multicultural development, peace culture and emotional intelligence. The fourth petal, like we said, which we're looking at in this video, the white petal, aesthetic development, arts, geometry, and bioarchitecture.
Yeah, and this petal covers a lot of subjects. It's very complete.
In the next video, we'll look at the green petal, which represents ecological development, clean energy systems. Then the red petal, which is hands-on development, applied sciences. And finally, we'll look at the purple petal or the violet petal, personal development and self-sciences. So stay tuned for the next couple of videos as well. But in this video, let's focus on the white petal, Naomi.
Yes, all about aesthetic, art, beauty. Universal geometry is here too, or secret geometry, bioarchitecture, and anything that creates harmony and beauty, and anything that where you can express yourself but in a beautiful way, and you can help people as well. It's all about raising consciousness through art. So it's extremely important. And it's very fulfilling for the children, for the young people, for everybody actually, because it's part of, it's as well a connection, mind and heart, and give to others your beauty, your inside beauty. I love it. You can see it covers everything from a lot of music. Here it's a class in ecology, and they are doing everything with recycled material. Mm-hmm. So it's a recycling class, but toward art. Another aspect of art.
Pottery, sculptures, so we can see a young Michelangelo there.
Yeah, and it's very focused. Plus, you know why? Art is it's a way of focusing. It's almost meditation. So you can focus through doing and through art. It's very good. If you can't meditate because it's too hard, like my case, art gives that. It puts you in alpha waves, you see? And I love everything with clay. I know the parents, they don't like that much, but when you work with clay, with mud, it's so much fun and then it's so therapeutic. So parents, let them be how do you say, full of mud and full of joy.
Covered in mud and full of joy.
We have a small video. You should see the joy of the, plus when you know this movement of working with the clay, in Spanish is amasar.
I guess maybe, I can't remember. I don't know if it's kneading, because with bread, you say kneading the bread.
Yes, yes. It works with all the digipuncture points.
So the receptors in our hands and fingers, right?
Yeah. And in Chinese medicine, it will activate all the meridians and all the organs. So it's excellent. The same with bread, actually. That's why they love to make bread, make pizza. This is part of, let's see, I want to see here, just to see the children, there is no, here we are. And this is an art center in South America. And I want you to see, mira, all the children. So they do their own piece of art. And this is the joy of touching the clay. And it's so ancestral too. You reconnect with your ancestral way of life and ancestors. And you have water as well. And they can do with the wheel. And this is very hard, and she's very small, but they can do it. So never underestimate the capacity of the children. It looks like fun. Okay, just to see that, let me go to the next one.
And I think it's really important to remember, like, these activities in which we sort of can lose ourselves a little bit and we sort of stop that mental buzz. It's really important. And obviously art is a healthy way. You're not hurting yourself or anybody else, because sometimes as well, we choose to lose ourselves in not the most positive way as well. So very cathartic as well, to just be in the zone, and time, the sense of time just goes. Useful art, Naomi. So what does that mean?
It works very well with children and young people when they see something useful with their art. Like when you draw something and it's on the wall and then it will end up in the garbage, they know. But useful art is like anything when beauty is included in something that you use every day. It can be this bead curtain, it can be plates and all kind of items for the house, lamp, folding screen. Look, I have more here. You can see the pencil, the tray, I don't know, the piggy, no, I don't know what.
Piggy bank. It's so true. I remember as a child, and I remember, like students as well, like if you give something to your parents or somebody else and they use it, it gives you such a sense of
yes, because you give your love and you give your inside being. So I think it's very, very interesting. Look at this table. This is gorgeous. This is absolutely gorgeous. This is a screen, and you can transform basically anything into art. Oh, this one I love. This one is for you, Dave, because you're from Australia.
Yeah, this one from Australia. So the image here is Uluru, which is in the center of Australia, and it has a special significance to the Indigenous Australians. And their artwork is also very beautiful and related to the dream time or the dreaming, which is sort of their belief about creation and the way and the world. I don't want to pretend like I know that much about it. Unfortunately, when I was in school, we learned a little bit, but luckily, like, the culture's changing now. But Australia's sort of been a little bit late to embrace, to acknowledge sort of, the damage that happened there with, the invasion. But slowly, we're starting to try and reconnect a little bit. It still needs to improve, but yeah, the Aboriginal, the Indigenous Australians have a very rich culture. That, like somewhere around 300 languages, native languages, and I mean, like the way that they lived in tandem with the earth was, a very strong lesson as well for us today. Like, we're destroying the earth, and they were able to survive so many years in harmony with the land. So yeah, very, I mean, every indigenous culture has strong lessons about how to live, coexist in harmony rather than trying to dominate nature. So
correct.
Yeah.
So you can see here, heart is linked to the pink petal, multicultural approach, to the green petal, connection to the earth. What about the dream time?
So like I said, the dream time is sort of, as far as I know, like I said, I don't know that much about it, but sort of their idea of creation. So some people, who follow Christianity, believe in Adam and Eve and Jesus and that kind of stuff. Every culture sort of has their own, like, maybe cosmovision or their idea of how the world started and why things were the way they were. So the dream time or the dreaming is the Indigenous Australians' way of interpreting that. And I think they used a lot of storytelling. I remember reading a book in which they sort of talked about song lines. So their way of travel was dictated by song. So, very interesting, and things that we sort of, I don't know, maybe in our, in terms of like development and other countries, like obviously England, France, these kind of countries have populated the rest of the world. Maybe we think that these beliefs or these ideas are not worthy, but they have so much information. It's really kind of ignorant of our part to ignore them. It's like it's like somebody who's been living there for so long and you don't even ask them like about the place. The same happens, like I remember here in Bolivia when we had the fires. There are still fires in the Chiquitania and the Amazon. I remember I went to sort of like a meeting, a gathering here in La Paz, and one of the main points was that the government hadn't even talked to the local people about the problem. It's crazy. Like, imagine if I developed, I don't know, some sort of medicine for women and I didn't talk to any women. It would be so presumptuous and crazy.
That's true.
So also before, I just wanted to clarify, when I said Aboriginals, obviously growing up in Australia as a child, that's the word we used. I'm not sure now if it's politically incorrect. Obviously, if it's offensive, I apologize, but I think the correct term is Indigenous Australians as well.
But please include all this knowledge and wisdom in the curricula, in the school, in the daily life of all the citizens, because it's rich in wisdom and rich in history and the symbols. The history of the Australian Indigenous people. You know how old it is? It will go back
right?
300,000 years. So can you imagine such a long history? Not even our history is that long in time. So please include all that, and it's part of the proposal of Peace 3000, of course. And I am an anthropologist, so of course I have to mention it. And we would include universal geometry, sometimes called secret geometry, sometimes called sacred geometry. And it's extremely important because this is all the patterns, of the creation actually. And it will, it's a perfect harmony. Here you have the flower of life, here you have the Merkaba, and it should be part of the curricula, of course, in primary school, secondary or high school, and university, because it's a very long and complete subject. Here's the famous Fibonacci. And it has a sequence, and it's as well a pattern of creation.
And our viewers might have noticed that,
actually.
Sorry to interrupt you, Naomi. Our viewers may have noticed as well that this has been in most of the slides as well in the series.
Yes, it's part of our symbol with the 2 O's and the bicycle pieces. Pásate a la paz, the murals. How do you call this, the paintings on walls?
Yeah, murals.
Murals. ¿Qué significa? What's the meaning of pásate a la paz?
So this is roughly translated to move to peace, move towards peace, a shift towards peace. That's kind of what it's saying as well.
So art is definitely a way to convey your message to the world.
It's colorful, right? So it draws people's opinion. And in cities, a lot of people enjoy it as well. Like in La Paz, we've got quite a bit now, I'd say, and a lot of it's related to taking care of Mother Nature, taking care of the environment. Yes. And because it's so colorful, I think it's easy for people to at least not have a negative reaction, and they're more receptive.
Definitely. And it's linked to social art.
And you've got a picture there of your daughter, Naomi.
Yes, I couldn't have. She did all the paintings. You know, the women at night here, they sweep. I mean, they clean all the streets, and nobody recognized their work. So through art, she's mentioning the beautiful work of this incredible woman every night cleaning the entire town. And in the morning, magic, everything is clean thanks to them. So she did an expo on that, and I'm very proud of her. What can I tell you?
Her artwork is beautiful. I really like it as well. It's really, really good. Very beautiful and very on point. So as well, we should include a link to Daimi's artwork as well, so people can check it out, because it's really, really good. Really great.
Yeah, she got the prize for that. And look at that. The entire neighborhood, this is called Chuyahuma in La Paz, Bolivia, and it's all painted, everything. You know this place, you went there. I think I have a video. No, I don't have it here.
Yeah, I've been there. It is a very interesting place. I mean, this place is sort of in between La Paz and El Alto are sort of like sister cities or twin cities. And La Paz is I mean, probably it's hard to say, but definitely the demographics are a little bit different. El Alto is more sort of people who have come from the countryside and typically, are involved in business. Like in El Alto, which is above, you've got some crazy kind of architecture, and their business model is interesting. You might have like the store at the bottom, then a salon for events, then apartments to rent. Whereas La Paz maybe is a little bit more similar to maybe like a Western city. Again, very diverse, but very distinct sort of like differences between the two cities. And this little zone is sort of just in between. It's kind of on the outskirts of La Paz, but not quite in El Alto. So I think this project, from what I remember, was sort of trying to maybe like just stimulate a little bit the zone, people come to visit and check it out. So a little bit of sort of like local tourism, I guess I'd call it.
Correct. Can you see here? Plus, we have the gondola, because now La Paz and El Alto has a gondola.
The cable cars.
Gondola, right?
The cable
system
cars.
For means of transportation. So you go with a gondola and it goes above, and it's absolutely beautiful. And don't forget digital art.
Why is it so important, Naomi, in your opinion, digital art? All of
because they all love it. The young people and the children, like make a video, load up your video on YouTube, make have a radio, make movies, digital art, do your design. It's very important. It's not really to paint something and that's it. No, art is now, look, you can do so many things. Here they have their own radio. Here they are filming their performance. So don't forget, the art class should be digital as well and included in the curricula, and then it's a good skill because then they use it for their entire life.
And we've got so much technology, right? Like to take advantage of. It's moving so quickly. So, I mean, maybe like music, for example, I like to record music. So I sort of have a few technological devices to be able to record things, which makes me happy. But also like making movies, all the different cameras, TV shows, all of that stuff. And I mean, like even looking at digital art, like for journalism, things like radio, like you mentioned, it's very important because as well, we want our education to create a better culture. And if we think about things like journalism, I'm a journalist, so I guess that's why it's important to me, but to a lot of people as well. Like you can see there's a lot of bad journalism that doesn't really push things forward. It just serves the interests of some people. So we need to diffuse, to share information more readily. So these are all ways through cinema, through music, through radio, print, video. All of this stuff is a way of sharing good information.
And remember, it's the perfect and safe place to express yourself. And through art, not through anger. For instance, there was a class in Uruguay. The young people didn't want to do anything. It was a very violent neighborhood with a lot of drugs. And the teacher said, what do you want to do? Nothing. So she didn't know, really, she didn't know what to do. And then one person said, what about a movie, a video? And they all say, yes. And she said, oh, good. And guess what? The movie was about suicide approach, was about depression, cutting your skin. So they could express all that because that was their reality through a safe mean, you see, a safe way
medium
of transmitting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's extremely important for emotional issues as well. So it's linked to the pink petal, and it's very important for your health, emotional health and physical health.
And it was a really good way of raising awareness about some of those problems, which are not always easy to talk about, and even more difficult to feel as well. So
let's see. And you can express as well through song. Look at, you know this one, right?
Yeah,
it's very known in South America.
Calle 13, such an amazing group, very brave. I feel like they've received a lot of death threats as well because politically, socially, they're very vocal. They say what they think, but they're also very popular. They're very, very popular, especially with young people. Very, very good music. So yeah, this is a very potent example of how music can sort of spread social messages and show people, different realities. And this song sort of, from what I understand, talks about a little bit the exploitation of the Western world in South America, because historically South America has been treated as a place where other people can come and take what they want, destroy things, not worry about the culture, not worry about the people, and then leave. But, the problems stay here, right?
¿Sabes que la última persona que estaba cantando era la ministra de Educación de Venezuela?
She was the last person singing was the education minister of Venezuela. I think the song inspired you to change to Spanish.
We couldn't hear very well the translation. What was the song about in general?
As I was saying, it sort of reflects that maybe ideology that Western cultures or Spain came and colonized, but there were already so many cultures here. They just destroyed things, really. Other cultures have come as well, and they're still doing it now. The big powers in the world, they come and they want to exploit the land, but then they leave, and the problems stay here. So it sort of reflects the mentality as well that people want to come and buy the water, buy the wind, but that's not the way things work. And it's also not necessarily the mentality of a lot of the people who live here. They don't think that way. You can see that in South America, like something that's interesting, people always talk about development. Okay, like we've gotten lots of great things from development, but other cultures work in different ways. And it's that idea of trying to live harmoniously. I think South America, because it's got so many indigenous cultures, their mentality is not necessarily to dominate nature. It's to live in harmony, live like not go past the limits. So the song sort of talks about those clash of mentalities where you've got other people trying to buy everything, take everything, exploit everything, but it's not cool.
It's a very nice song. If you want to know more about this song, it's done by it's produced by Calle 13, which is Street 13, Calle 13.
We can put it below in the description. They're a very popular band because as well, like rap. Also, they've got a lot of world music as well. So it's an example of when as well it's super positive because in their music, and then also later in some of their solo projects, because the rapper whose name is Rene or Residente as well, like you can hear a lot of different influences from around the world. And like I said, he's received a lot of death threats because he says what, you know, like socially, politically, he says the truth and people don't like it. So he's a very brave and very talented.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. And Banksy.
Oh, this is it went by itself. It's not only South America. The Banksy. Where is he from?
He's from England. And
England. He's completely anonymous. So everywhere around the world, people can use art to express whatever feeling they have. This is huge. They are huge graffiti. And artistically talking, they are absolutely beautiful. Let's see a couple of them.
And I think the fact that he's anonymous has created the interest in his work, because sometimes, like one day, a new Banksy artwork will appear somewhere around the world, and people, oh, there's a new Banksy artwork, but nobody knows who he is. And typically speaking, there'll be a pretty important social message or something very beautiful, something that catches your attention, makes you smile, makes you think. So I mean, like I remember in Australia, because we're quite close to the United Kingdom, this artist has always been really popular.
And the drawing's absolutely amazing, not to mention the messages. It's quite strong.
And it's also interesting how he uses his natural surroundings as part of the artwork. He tries to work with it rather than, you know, completely impose himself.
Wow. Oh my God.
Interestingly enough, it's another one of those examples where, like how I was talking about, you know, this idea of dominating nature. He works with his environment, and the results are stunning. It's just, I guess, another kind of link to that. And we're going to look at the green petal in the next video as well. So.
Oh yes. Okay, so if you type Banksy or Sai on the website, you will have many of those beautiful paintings. I don't want even to say graffiti. It's just really, really beautiful. Okay, so there is much more. Actually, art covers much more. We don't have much time because we wanted to keep the video short. We didn't do today. But what do we have under art as well? I remember we have circus, neurocircus consciousness. What?
Cinema, TV.
TV.
You got music.
all kind of music, all kind of dance, theater, poems, rap,
literature. So literature.
Food is art.
Yeah,
Then
I
a
think most
beautiful
people will have
mandalas is
noticed that
food.
food now is becoming, it's like an artwork, right? It's not,
It is.
for a lot of places, it's not just having the best flavors, it's also the presentation. We can see it like in landscaping, interior design. You can pretty much apply art to anything as an expression of yourself or the surround. I mean, nature is art, right? It's nature expressing. It sounds a little bit hippie, but why do people go to look out and look? Oh, it's look at the view, because it's art.
Because it's art. Magic tricks. It's an art as well. Landscaping, and so on. Maybe at the end of the story, everything is art on this planet Earth. Probably. You are a musician. How do you feel when you play music, when you compose music, when you sing?
Well, it's one of those things that I think makes me feel like I'm lost in the moment. So it's really good to disconnect, to unwind. And I guess writing songs as well, it feels cathartic, like it's a way to channel your emotions. Maybe sometimes you don't realize what you're feeling, and it's a good way to maybe process those things and get them out. For example, I've noticed, and I was talking to a friend as well the other day, when I'm stressed out or worried I don't really play much music. And I think that's a sign that you're maybe a little bit blocked as well.
Interesting.
So I think, like, think about when you go out to dance with your friends, you feel better, right? Like it's a way of letting off steam, of unwinding, of getting rid of those nasty kind of feelings, but in a very positive, even in a creative way, rather than fighting or getting angry. So art it's fun and it's so healthy.
Wonderful.
So all of our videos, so this is our level 1 series, Education 3000, co-recreating education. But Naomi's also been doing this for the last 21 years. So a lot of videos on YouTube, below in the description, our website, get in touch via Facebook or Gmail. All of this is below in the description, like I said. Leave some comments as well. Maybe you want to share what art means for you, how it makes you feel, examples of art, suggestions, because we're learning together. We're not pretending like we know everything.
We are all artists, so put in comments everything you do or you're feeling with this video. And thank you, Dave, for sharing your great, I would say, sensitivity.
I'm definitely very sensitive. That's probably not a good thing.
And it was a beautiful video. Shall we finish with a little music and dance?
Yeah.
Yeah? Let's see. I have it on the other computer. I come back. It's a very famous song. Guess what is it? Jerusalem. This
From
one.
Africa, right?
Jerusalem, Ikayalami. Jerusalem, Ikayalami.
Those of you at home, feel free to move along as well. If you feel embarrassed, you start to feel good. Bravo, Naomi. Look how happy Naomi's feeling right now. So.